Hey, so hi everyone. So if you watched the round of 14 video, and I don't think too many of you all did, but thanks for leaving the comments for those who did. I'll be reviewing some of the things which I think I should have done differently. So the most glaring of which, right, which would have qualified me. So one thing you have to understand is the format of this game. This format of the game is actually top 2 qualify. With third place having like a high percentage chance to qualify if you get high enough points. So what I should be gunning for actually round 7 is to gun for second place. What happened was that in this game, we played it at 1 AM, my local time 1 AM. You might not think it's very late, but I wake up generally at 4 AM every day, so that game actually, by the time it ended, it was very, very late for me. And I do know that near the end, there were a lot of things that I was very tunnel vision on. So I found myself, when I think back on it, I was very inflexible in my last few actions. I had some fixed ideas of what I wanted to do. Like, I thought that I would be able to ship up and down, so I was very fixed on the idea. I was very fixed on getting 3 techs to buy, to enable machine culture. So there were some ideas which I was very fixed upon, and I think that that hindered a lot of my gameplay. So if I went back to my start of round 7, right, I should have went to Highliner. Yes, Beast puts in a lot of strength here, but the reason he's able to put in the amount of strength also is because he goes to Highliner. Then he puts in 7 troops plus a dreadnought. However, if I was the one to go to Highliner, I'll put in 5 troops plus a dreadnought, plus 2 dreadnoughts, and I'll be able to deploy another 3 troops after. And with with the cards on hand, I probably should be able to even stage incident if needed to get the extra point to qualify me for second. So let's take a look. Yeah, so I mentioned I was actually very fixed on ideas. I went to the Spacing Guild very early on in the game, maybe round 3, right? So I got the snooper around 3. So in my mind, when I wrote back to round 6, I'll be able to go shipping once, but that didn't happen because yellow went shipping on round 6. Then I couldn't go on round 7, and I totally forgot about him playing Esma to it. I think if I was playing better, I would definitely have remembered it. I wouldn't be so fixed on the idea. So one reason why I value this interstellar shipping so highly, right, is that I think that's the theme in my seventh round is that I was playing to win the game, right? I was playing to win the game, and in order for me to win the game, right, I needed these faction bumps desperately. I only have diplomacy in hand. I only have diplomacy and signaling, right? So I need to use both of them. And if I don't use diplomacy, signaling, and signaling, right, I'll never be able to get all my snooper tokens, right? So in this sense, I also maybe was thinking that if I was going to Highliner, right, I'll waste my only faction bump to go to Highliner, and I thought I didn't need to go to Highliner. Maybe I thought that, no, if the game goes, my only path to victory is to round 8. However, I should have just admitted to myself that the game was going to end and that I was not going to win, and I should have played for second. But I think because I was very tired, I didn't think about it. I was still playing in my default state, which is playing to win. So that's why I valued this faction bump very highly, because I felt as I couldn't get it anywhere else. Like there's no way else in this game which I can get this faction bump. So that's why I went to interstellar shipping. What I should have done, right, let's say in this case, if I put in a Highliner worth of troops, so which is 5 troops plus 2 dreadnoughts, so that's 16 troops, right? My next round I'd be able to signet ring, trade the faction access to Emperor, or yeah, probably trade it Emperor, get that influence bump anyhow, and then I'll be able to put in another 3 troops, right? So that will put me at 22 strength. 22 strength with I think it's, what's this, with bribery in hand, so that's 27 strength, and be able to lose 3 troops if I don't feel threatened to go down to 21 to get additional 2 points. So I think that would have guaranteed me the second place in this. I'm not too sure if it would have, but I think it certainly looks like it. So that's what I think I should have done. Yeah, so if we look at Yellow's endgame reveal, right, so he actually discarded Esma to it, so he probably had another city access. So he probably could have deployed, let's say he started his garrison with 2, right, so he had 1 troops in already, so he could have put in those 3 plus another 2 troops. So he could have put in 5 troops and had 1 dagger behind him. Yeah, so, or maybe he could have got the dreadnought and put it in as well, so maybe, so he gets 5 troops, maybe up to 14 strength with no combat intrigues behind him. Maybe he draws one from, yeah, maybe he draws one from the Kartek that he goes to, but I also think that I'll be able to beat him, even if I stage incident. So this is another decision that haunts me. So on round 3 of the game, my last action, I go to tech negotiators and pick up memo quarters. So memo quarters is a good tech on Tessia in general, right? The reason I pick up memo quarters here over shuttle fleets, right? And I don't know if I remembered I could get shuttle fleets, but I have machine culture in hand and I want to enable machine culture. And to enable machine culture, what do you need to have? You need a lot of spice. So actually what I'm thinking about is enabling machine culture. So I think that's why I pick up memo quarters in this state, to get to the point. I could have used my signal ring, go down 1 and come up 1. This was pointed out to me by Nagma, but when he PM'd me as well. I wasn't sure what I remembered at that time, but when I think back about it, yeah, I did think about it, but I thought that memo quarters would be better because Tessia is very easy to trigger memo quarters, and also it was yeah, it requires low spice, so it's easier to enable machine culture. So that's my thought process of getting member quarters. However, my bumps in member quarters, I put it in spacing. So when I think back about it, this came from a lot of I guess preconceived notions when I thought of playing Tessia. When playing Tessia, you generally want to have spacing access, right? But I should recognize the fact that I'll never get it round 4, round 5, and round 6, whether I get it or not, is a toss-up. And if I know yellow's cards, I would have recognized it as Esma to it, and getting it round 6 as well is nigh impossible. So I actually don't need to rush this snooper. The other thoughts that I had is that generally when you play Tessia, you want your Emperor and your Benny last. So I didn't really want to trigger the snooper token at this point. However, what I should have done, right, is I definitely should have taken Benny and Emperor Snooper at this moment. I don't have many ways to trigger faction bumps, and the worst part about it all, right, I don't know if y'all who have considered this. I think some of you have considered this inside the comments. So think about it for a moment. Why is this the absolute worst? So maybe not so much for Tessia, but I still think it's the absolute worst. So I think it's the absolute worst because if you think about all the faction spaces I want to go to, right? What's the thing that I need most in this game? I need most in this game, right, is faction access. I was denied about it round 1, round 2, and round 3 as well. I think I'm denied it as well. So because I cannot buy any faction access, right, the space which I value the most on this board and that no one else really values, right, is full space. So what I want to do actually is to send my diplomacy to full space over and over again. That's actually kind of what I want to do. So maybe if I even take back this turn, I wouldn't go to wealth to put in a dreadnought. I would have just forgot about the dreadnought and just went to full space. Just went to full space and even moved the influence from spacing away from spacing to somewhere else. The reasoning is I just want to add more full space into my deck. So as I think about this game, right, and I think about games in the future also, I recognize how important it is to get full space middle of the game, especially when you're playing someone with Swordmaster. When you're playing someone with Swordmaster, any full space card that you have, right, becomes half a point because you play to a faction space. And until you get all your friendships, which most of the time a lot of people struggle with as well, especially if Interstellar is very fought after, right? It's very hard to get all your friendships. So one reason why like people don't think about full space this way, right, is that when you go to full space round 1, round 2, what are you doing round 3, round 4 when you get a full space? Your first action, right, in that case is always to play your full space, either to interstellar shipping or to get Swordmaster, right? So in that sense, right, the full space doesn't become half a point. The full space becomes a draw 1 card. And the reason you generally don't play it as your second action is that you want to draw first. So there are cases where you can play it second, but especially if you go full space, and if you don't play your full space first, you run into a lot of bad situations where you draw into your diplomacy or you draw into another full space. So that is why full space sometimes feels bad to go to. However, what I think you should recognize, right, is that in the middle of the game, especially if you have Swordmaster, going to full space is very powerful for you. And so I definitely should not have Memo Quarters and Signet Ring into spacing, even though it grants me interstellar shipping access. If I was in position to get interstellar shipping access, I think that maybe it will be good. But this is one of the reasons why I think actually Tessia in third position is not the best. Because even when you get interstellar shipping access, you don't really have access to it throughout the game. So these are my 2 cents on the second thing I did wrong. You know, if you ask me, that's more or less it. I think you can nitpick a lot of the small details in the game, and I think there are a lot of small decisions that you made that could have altered the path of the game. However, I think if you focus on the small things too much, you often miss the big picture. So I know that I have a lot of time to think about this game. So I've sat on this game and thought about this game for so long. So the issue, like, I drank a cup of coffee before the game started, and so this meant that after the game ended, I couldn't go to sleep even though I was so tired. So I was lying in bed just thinking about this game, and these 2 things are things that I think that kept surfacing, that I should, under the value of full space and highliner, spacing guild causing me issues. Yeah, so those are my 2 big things that I think I should have done differently that probably would have led me to win the game. So let's review the comments now. So Felt offers some strong opinions about the play. So he also offers a strong opinion, and I appreciate it highly. He's a very good player, so you should actually take it into some serious consideration. But let me just offer my comments. So Beast would have been a really safe pick here. You can either go shipping with Memo Quarters or Swordmaster. So giving Beast the second position is very risky because he can high roll. Yes, but at the same point in time, I'm not a very good Beast player. Like, I know that I don't play Beast well. Like, and I didn't want to play Beast in this situation. I definitely could have. Like, I don't think my Beast is terrible, but I don't win as much as I do with other leaders as I do with Beast. So I think my Beast play is pretty average, and I'm not too sure why. I do need some help on this. So if anyone wants to coach me on Beast, sure. Do come and help me. So my starting hand is pretty awful. Yes, I know my starting hand is pretty awful. You hate it the most as Tessia. So I like even this small thing of playing your ring or playing your signet ring to go to Kartek or whatever. No, I don't think it is that significant. I think it's very small. Buying a liaison instead of Weirding Way because I've Swordmaster is a mistake. I think that Weirding Way doesn't give me faction access, so I didn't value it as much, and I felt that I needed Spice Must Flow to win the game, so that's why I bought Liaison. I don't play a lot of so when the X tournament was going on, I didn't play any games of X. I just played Immortality games. So my memory of X games was that Spice Must Flow is still key to the game, and I value 1 persuasion cards very low. So I think that's one reason why I didn't buy Winning Way in this position. So round 2, I should have blocked full space. If I block Hanjo, right, I actually do not get Swordmaster, and Swordmaster is the only thing that kind of keeps me in the game. So if I go to full space, then I actually don't really have too much control over interstellar shipping as well, because I think Lito somehow gets there in the end. Somehow, I don't know how he would got there, but I think he'll still get there in the end. So I'm not too sure if blocking Hanjo was the best thing to do. So I also maybe it would have. But in this game, you see that Hancho was not the one who ended the game. He didn't even finish first or second. So why am I stopping Hancho in 4th position? I think his round 1 play was not very good as well. So that's one reason why I didn't feel he was a big threat. Also, why did Zazibu reveal so early? Well, when you're playing in round of 14, you're just playing for first or second. I don't think it matters so much. He did win. Even if he got second, it's still a win. So I think that's fine. That's one reason why I'm hosting the Monday Bini. I just don't like playing for second. I don't like the idea of it. And once again, Waiting Way and Liaison are maybe 50-50. I prefer Liaison in X just because of Spice Slow. Yeah, I can see argument for Waiting Way. Round 3, Action 1. Welcome to Dreadnought is tempting. I think I talked about this. I think I regret going to Wealth at all. I should have just went to full space. So I think the idea of going to full space is correct. I'm not sure if using the tech to buy the memo quarters is correct, but I do think going I do think going full space is correct. Then everything else cascading from there, I'm not too sure. I haven't thought about it. Round 3, Action 3, I don't like losing your BG process to get level 2. So once again, I agree with this. I should not have rushed the spacing friendship. I talked about it earlier. Yeah, full space is great. Yeah, and that's how my GPI adventure came to a close. So some summary feelings about GPI. So I do like the group stages a lot. The group stages were a lot of fun. I made a lot of fun bonds and good memories with people in my group, from Felkdev to Anakmir to Blackstone. Yeah, the group stages were fun. Like, the games went on. Scheduling was quite easy. You know, you chat with the same group of people. You kind of root for them, but you hope they don't win as well. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of tension in that. With round of 14, my experience was very different. My round of 14 scheduling was very, very bad for me. I think I was a bit too flexible in terms of the timing that I was allowing, but it pushed on and on. I think like there were players in my group who had like studying commitments and whatnot, which made scheduling it very, very hard. But yeah, so in the end, when it was finally played, it was played at a very bad time. And I don't think I was the only one. I think multiple people have shared these sentiments. And all these like thoughts again is why the Muad'Dib melee is ongoing now. It's because I think I see some structures in the format that are so don't get me wrong, the GPI is great. GPI is great for new players. For the life of this community, right? We need tournaments like GPI. In fact, I think the Water of Life now is taking away from it because it sets too high a barrier of entry. We should have these GPI tournaments constantly because it invites new people in. And if you don't invite new people in, the community will die. So you need new people in, and I don't agree with having the Water of Life tournament now. I think you should have a GPI equivalent concurrently at this moment. But at the same point in time, I think that for a competitive fix, right, for people, I think that having prioritizing first place and having scheduling to be consistent is important. That's why the Muad'Dib melee is in the current arrangement. I think we still have around 20 or so slots for the melee in May, so if you haven't signed up, do go sign up for it. But if you have watched to the end of this video, I think you probably would have already if you have the time. So thanks for watching, and I hope you like my analysis of my loss. So I played bad.